My 27F boyfriend, 31M, of 5 years accidentally threw away my mother's ashes. TW, lost of a loved one, I guess, is a bit of a description of that too. My mother died just before Christmas. She was hit by a car, so obviously it was totally unexpected and we were all still in a daze. At least I am. My father, even more so. It's like he shut off when he heard the news and hasn't figured out how to power back up again. Shortly after the funeral, my brother offered something amazing. My mother was always a huge fan of the arts, and as my boyfriend is a potter, she's always been incredibly intrigued by his work. He even treated her to a studio session once, and she went on about it for weeks. Anyways, his offer was to create an urn for my father, something really striking and original, and my mom. I thought it was incredible, and when we asked my dad, he just burst into tears and started hugging us. He seemed so truly touched. It was an incredibly intense moment for all of us. I know that it takes time, but usually, my boyfriend is a very quick worker. We didn't get her ashes back until about 6 weeks ago, and my boyfriend asked if he could hold on to them so we could make the urn the proper size and everything. A few weeks go by, and I asked if he had any updates or if I perhaps see his progress. He got pretty defensive, and I dropped the subject. Sometimes he can be testy about his work, so this wasn't really out of the ordinary if that makes any sense. Over the following weeks, I'd drop hints here and there and mention it in passing, but he'd always manage to drop the subject and I'd get no new information. Finally, a few days ago, I got pretty serious about it since my dad had recently asked about it and demanded to know at least an estimate of when it'd be completed. The look on his face said it all. My heart dropped to my stomach before he even spoke a word. I love my boyfriend, but damn is he mindless sometimes. He said he misplaced the ashes, but that they had to be somewhere in his studio, so they weren't lost. He was adamant that they were in the studio somewhere, as he's the only one that really goes in and out and he would remember actually taking them out of it. For the past 2 days, we have torn the apartment apart. We've completely emptied it and put everything back in. We've emptied boxes, storage containers, waste bins, everything. It's not there. The ashes were in a pretty inconspicuous brown box, which I believe would have been easy for him to confuse as something else and either take out of the studio at some point or throw away. He still insists that the ashes aren't lost and that they're somewhere here. It's making my head hurt. Like yesterday morning, we had his studio absolutely empty. It's just not in there. I don't know what happened to them, and at this point, it doesn't really matter, but I can accept that they're gone. At which point, it's time to tell my dad. But my boyfriend refuses, insisting that they are not lost and they're just misplaced, and telling him that they're gone for good would be unnecessarily cruel. I kind of agree, and here we are. If my dad asks again, I don't think I can lie to him, but what if my boyfriend is right? What if I tell him that we lost the only remnants of his wife, only to be wrong? Why should I put him through that if we're not sure? But on the other hand, it's already been longer than I'd implied it would be, so he's got to be growing concerned. Would he hate that I lied to him when he eventually does find out? My head is a mess, please help me. What do I do? Commenter 1. I may be a terrible person. I don't think I'd tell your dad. It's not going to help him. I'd either tell the white lie that she was incorporated into the slip to make the urn, or find some ash elsewhere and put it in a bag and let it be. Again, I may be a terrible person, but sparing a loved one unnecessary pain would be my intention. Gosh, I'm so sorry. OP. Okay, I'm going to sound 12 years old here, but I don't know if I can lie to my dad, especially about this. We've always been extremely close and we just don't lie to one another. But I think you're right. This is the best option and it's best for him, I think. Commenter 2. I think the difference between these two lies is that one was selfish, protecting himself, your significant other, and the other is you protecting your dad as to not cause him any more grief. The fact that your significant other hid that he lost the ashes for weeks says a lot about him. This is an incredibly hard decision either way, and I'm sorry you're going through this. OP. He says he lied to protect me. Plenty of people could also say I'm lying to protect myself from the guilt of admitting that I lost her. I guess I just don't see the difference. And yes, honestly, my boyfriend does lose a lot of things. He's lost his passport, his car keys, his house keys countless times, and the significance of the item doesn't really affect his mindlessness. So, no pun intended, but I'm taking that shit to the grave. Um, yeah, I'm not telling anyone I lost those. I'm either telling them that I combined it with the pottery to make something that was like perfect and resembled her, or I'm telling them that I just put the ashes in there and they're random ashes. Okay? I'm I I don't know why you wouldn't do that. I mean, I understand telling him the truth, but like, is it gonna help him, right? That's what a lot of people are asking is like, is it really going to help someone to know the difference? Would they know the difference between ashes? Like, they look the same. They don't have the same sentimental value, but they don't know that unless you tell them. And as long as you don't tell anyone, things should work out fine. Is it maybe not the best solution? Yeah, it's probably not the best, and someone could probably find one that's a lot better, but that was just what I first thought of. Update. I'm going to post this here and leave, so apologize if I don't have the strength to answer the comments. I'm at a real low right now. Please go easy on me, guys. I took your advice and then ruined everything. I don't know where to begin except that I've destroyed my father and messed up absolutely everything. I'm all alone now. I waited for a few more weeks for her ashes to possibly show up, but they didn't. I finally accepted that my mom was really lost forever. First, I dumped my boyfriend. Once my head cleared, I realized that I just couldn't get past this. I felt like he'd betrayed me and betrayed her memory. Then, I took your advice and lied to my dad. It started out okay. I gave him the urn and he was so overcome with happiness. Honestly, it was the first time he'd truly smiled since her passing. He announced that his wife was home and set the urn as a centerpiece in his main room. I was overwhelmed but ultimately knew I'd done the right thing. If you could have seen him, you'd agree. So thank you all. I take full blame for what happened next. Everything was fine for a while. I could manage telling the story without breaking down and I held up the lie as best as I could, until last night. My father hosted a large family dinner at his home. Both my siblings were there, and aunts and cousins and such, about 20 people in total. Before we said grace, my brother stood up. He lifted this beautifully etched wood placard and explained that he'd had a quote from my mother's favorite book burned or something into the wood. He read it aloud, and guys, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't want to say the specific quote or book, but it just hit me all in the wrong places. But I was okay. I held the tears back and kept swallowing the giant ball of sadness that was building up in my stomach, and tried to look unfazed. After he finished, he placed it against the urn and hugged my father, who then turned to me and asked if I would tell everyone one more time the story of the urn. I tried. I tried so fucking hard, but nothing would come out. I just sat there with my mouth open and tears streaming down my face, and a fucking concrete slab resting in my stomach, and I froze. Everyone was staring at me and the lie just wouldn't come out. It was like it was stuck in my throat and I started physically shaking and I just stood up and went to the bathroom. It was apparently quite the scene. My sister came after me and found me sobbing in the bathroom. She sat down with me and started crying, too, begging me to talk to her, but I was still just frozen. She held my hands and said that we need to lean on one another in a time like this, that we have to be able to be honest about how we're feeling. Everything just broke. I messed up and told her the truth. As soon as it was out of my mouth, she dropped my hands like hot coals. She looked disgusted with me. She asked what I'd filled the urn with, and I told her ashes from my fireplace. I don't know why I said that. It was like every lie just wouldn't make its way out of my mouth, and I could only say the truth. I hated myself for that. She stood up to leave, and we both realized my father was standing in the doorway. The way he was looking at me, I'm sorry, I just can't finish my sentence. I keep trying to. I'll never get his face out of my head. I betrayed him, I broke his heart. I stood up, but again, my voice failed me. He looked down and told me I needed to leave. I tried to hug him, and my sister tore me away and shouted, "Don't you touch him!" And my father told me again that he wanted me out of his house. I could barely walk or think, but somehow I made it out. On my way out, my father handed me back the urn. I don't remember what he said. I've called and texted him and my sister both since then, apologizing a million times in every way I know how. My father told me I'm as dead to him as my mom. I'm all alone. I don't have my boyfriend. I don't have my family. I don't have my mom. I ruined absolutely everything and don't know where to go from here. I haven't left my bed all day and I feel like I'm mourning my mother 100 times all over again. I don't know why I posted this. I just don't have anyone else to turn to. I hate myself and I know that I deserve this, but it doesn't make it any easier. I failed my mother. I failed my family. I'm so alone. It's easy for me to just sit here behind a screen and be like, oh, you could have kept the lie up. But the truth is, it's really hard. I am not a good liar at all. I mean, I maybe get away with it 1 out of every 10 times. And the other 9 times, I just look like a fucking moron, right? That's kind of what happens with me. And I don't imagine lying is much easier for most other people either. So, the fact that this happened, it's not your fault. And honestly, none of this is your fault. It just sucks that it came back on you. And I want to reiterate my first point where I said the best thing to do would be to lie to him. I think unless you told him right away that they were missing, then you have to lie to him. Because after that, there is no, you can't say you lost him a couple weeks ago, because he'll go even more insane. A couple weeks ago? What do you mean a couple weeks ago? Why didn't you tell me on the day you lost them so I could be out there searching? Right? Which is probably what your boyfriend should have done anyways. He should have came clean to you and be like, I don't know where these are. Because they are, so important, clearly, to your dad, that he kicked you out of the house. But even more than that, your dad should not be like banishing you from the family, and your family shouldn't hate you for this. And although they probably hate you in the moment, I think that they'll come to realize that the whole point of this family gathering was to bring people together to mourn your mother. And now all it's done is separate people over someone who's not even alive to make a change, right? And although the ashes do have significance, like I said before, she's gone, right? So they might as well make the most of what they can with the family that they still have. At least that's what I think. I don't know. Let me know your opinions in the comments below, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.